Good morning. This is Karen Porch, the Transformative Listener, and I am coming to you this morning to say, what is transformative listening? Maybe you've looked over my website, thetransformativelistener.com. Maybe you've read my blog on that website, or you have looked at my videos on YouTube, but you're still wondering, what is this transformative listening? What does it have to do with me? You might even scoff. I listen to people all the time. Doesn't seem to be revolutionary. Listening doesn't change anything. My spouse, partner, loved one, etc., will all still say that I don't listen to them. In fact, I can spend 15 minutes listening to them yak, yak, yak. And what happens? Do they thank me or give me a turn to talk? No. They are mad at me for not paying attention. I don't see how more listening will help. Let me tell you the difference in transformative listening. In transformative listening, you actually focus with your full being, focus on the speaker, not what happened at work, not the sports scores, not the cute weather person, not the funny noise the car made on the way home, just the speaker's words. What? You may be thinking, wait a minute. You're saying I can't focus completely on them. I have things on my mind too. Plus, I still have to defend myself since I know I will be accused of something somewhere. They always think everything is my fault. They are always blaming me. Wait a minute, I've lost you, haven't I? You are starting to become angry, right? Remember what the subject was. And don't think that I'm blaming you in any way. I'm not. I am not putting you down. I am just simply shining a light on how intentional listening is different. All people, all of us, tend to listen with only a fraction of our attention. And unfortunately, this is how we get conflict. Most of the time, fighting comes from what we think someone said, not what they actually said. My point, compassionate listening preempts fighting and conflict. Transformative listening highlights the speaker, giving all attention to them and proving that they are truly important. This is when people feel they are disregarded or have no value, are invisible, that individual and societal conflict begins. This is the power of transformative listening, really being heard, maybe for the first time, with compassion and love. This is what changes anger, hurt, and despair into understanding, love, and hope. First and foremost, transformative listening is about hearing what the speaker says, not what you thought they said or what you have heard before from others, but the speaker's actual words. It is an act of love. The listener pulls themselves out of the conversation to attend to the speaker's words. In order to accomplish this, the listener has to stay neutral. No agenda, no thoughts about themselves, no judgment, no preconceived ideas about the speaker or what they might say. The listener listens, pure and simple. We must change our perspective. Remember, it is not about us. Whatever the speaker says, it is not about us. Keeping this perspective alleviates any anger or bad feelings because it is not about us. Transformative listening is the act of opening yourself to hear the words, feel the emotions of the speaker. It is an act of compassion and love. Compassionate love does not create nor perpetuate conflict, only healing. We must have an agenda of our own to be hurt by someone's words. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this point. A friend of mine, Mike, called one day very angry. He complained that his wife, Robin, had called him dumb. I asked Mike what Robin said. His response, "She said I am dumb." I took a breath and asked if those were the exact words Robin used. "You are dumb." Mike thought a moment and remembered that no, those were not the exact words. What his wife had said was, "Remember to take out the trash." Mike heard, "You are dumb. I even have to remind you of trash day." Robin didn't call Mike dumb. In fact, she was just giving a friendly reminder, as she would want him to do for her. But people are different. We don't always hear what someone says to us. As with my friend, he heard cutting criticism. The remark made him feel dumb. Thus he thought he heard someone calling him dumb, when the reality was different. It was what he thought he heard that kept Mike angry and wanting to retaliate. After Mike remembered Robin's actual words, he felt better, no longer angry or wanting to retaliate. A misunderstanding of words in the past had kept Mike and Robin fighting for days. But this time, transformative listening sifted out actual words over perceived words, thus preempting a fight and building a bridge for better understanding. This shows the power of transformative listening, really being heard, maybe for the first time, with compassion and love, changes anger, hurt, and despair to understanding, love, and hope. This is the change to build a better, more compassionate world. I want you to really understand how people do not listen, even in situations where they should. I was a pastor serving churches for 20 years. Giving sermons every Sunday was the main event. People think that sitting in the pews with lots or little others around them keeps them out of the spotlight. People believe that I and the rest of the congregation have no idea of what they're doing, instead of hearing a sermon that was meticulously and prayerfully written. Most of these people would run from being asked to read the scriptures or making an announcement feigning shyness. Yet these same people boldly write grocery lists, send emails, text messages, even catch up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The last are noticeable because they are laughing behind their hands or their bulletin. As pastor, I could also see those who were angry, steam practically rising up out of their collar, while they thought of the right, most hurtful words and schemed of what and how they would say them after the service. Even when the church service was on peace and love for your neighbor, this was not listening. There are many ways to tune others out. After all, we need to take care of our own business. We have to focus on ourselves, right? Well, somewhat. One particular Sunday, a very elderly gentleman fell asleep during the service. His snoring was so loud that people couldn't even hear me. Now, this man had not planned to disrupt the service. He wasn't intentionally not listening. He had only succumbed to the weariness of his 80-year-old body. No offense was intended. Now the question was, how do we move on with the service? I asked his neighbor sitting next to him to nudge him over a little, hoping that a change in his position would decrease the snoring decibels. This did indeed bring the noise level down. Then I turned the microphone up and said, "Let's continue," going on with the sermon. Now I had everyone's attention. One thing the gentleman's snoring did for the congregation was wake them up to the fact that they were not listening. Pen, paper, and phones were all put down. Attention was now fully on me, and they were listening. This was the most attention I have ever had during a sermon. You may still be having a little trouble understanding transformative listening and need another example. One of the best examples is the therapy session. For that 50-minute hour, you have a safe space to say anything, to air your fears, hurts, failures, dreams, and hopes. A personal example with a therapist relationship comes to mind. I had therapy with Dr. M, who listened to what I said without judging me. Even angry outbursts were heard without judgment. I remember feeling afraid that if Dr. M really heard what I wanted to say, she would fall right out of her chair screaming. I voiced this fear one day and then proceeded to speak a very deep fear. Dr. M looked at me. "I'm still here. You haven't knocked me off my chair." At that moment, I knew Dr. M heard me and accepted me. It became a standing joke between us. "I'm still in my chair." Every time she said it, I felt safer to tell her more of my thoughts and feelings. I was heard, I was visible, and I was cared about. That's all that mattered. This is transformative listening, a full body, mind, and spirit endeavor. This is what makes transformative listening so powerful. It is transformative, evolutionary, life-changing for the speaker because, maybe for the first time in their lives, they are being heard. They are no longer invisible. Someone pays attention not only to the words, but the emotion behind the words. What a person says is important because they are important. What matters most to the speaker is brought into the open with the acknowledgement of their personage, visibility. Healing then begins. With more hearing, the person comes into full view. Thus, my belief that full listening is transformative or change-making. For many, it may seem daunting to keep your whole being focused on another. Usually, as we try to focus on one thing, our mind is busy reminding us of what we need to do, remembering conversations, experiences that we have not let go of. These may still be emotion charged, negatively or positively. I've spent a lot of this video expounding on the importance of listening with the whole person. But that is only part of transformative listening. Transformative listening is also modeling a listening style that helps someone open up to another human being. This unselfish act brings about healing. And healing in this world, one person at a time, is the only way to bring about peace. Thank you for listening. I will be making more of these roughly 10-minute versions and videos about transformative listening for education and for hope for all currently unheard. Please check out my website at thetransformativelistener, all one word, .com. You can contact me through the contact form or through the email, thetransformativelistener@gmail.com, to talk about your goals. The initial consultation is always free. Don't wait another second. Let's go on a healing journey together. Thank you.